Hey, this is Robert at Guzzi Fabrication. Hit that like and subscribe and notification bell. What we're going to be doing today is installing the driver's side quarter panel on the 1963 Impala SS convertible restoration. Now this is part 15. And what I've done is I've installed all of the holes that I'm going to be plug welding through to attach this quarter panel to the car. And here's a shot of all of that. And we have prepped the quarter panel. Now this is a convertible and we had to make a cut. We're going to have to graft it onto this car because it is a convertible and they do not make quarter panels for convertibles. So this is a coupe quarter panel. And what we're going to do is just slide this guy right underneath. To this point, I've probably cut, fit, mocked this quarter panel on and off of this car about 5 or 6 times. We're getting down to the very final time where we can leave it on the car and start welding. And we're just going to hold that into place with some self-tapping screws. Now this is my favorite method of prepping. Now you can see I already have the holes for the plug welds, and this is how I'm prepping them. Just a little spot blaster. I haven't found a better way to do this because we still have all of our protection of either the EDP coat or the epoxy primer in between the quarter panel and then that jam panel. And those little white marks are reference marks from previous times that I've had this quarter panel on and off to keep it in the same place. Okay, let's start the welding. What we're going to do, we start at the very front, in the jam. I'm going to go ahead and set this. I've already set my door gaps. We're good to go. We're going to start in this position and then work our way backwards to the end of the car. And if you do all your fit up correctly, all of the prep correctly, get the machine, the welder set right, you should be able to get some really nice welds. And if all those things weren't, well, we'd be doing a lot of extra grinding. But what we're going to do now is just knock the very tops off of the welds because I want a really, really nice job. And what we're going to aim for is mimicking a factory-looking door jamb. And by that I mean the factory used resistance welders, and we're just going to have just enough weld. It's going to resemble a resistance weld by the time we're all said and done with the primers, the sealers, the sealants, paint. Should look all factory. And now we're finishing that out, dressing it. And here's what we have. And then we'll shoot just a little bit of primer over that. Hold it so it doesn't start rusting or anything like that. We're ready to move on. Okay, now this is really common. What we don't want to just clamp some vice grips on there and cinch all that down, these two pieces, and weld them, because what will happen is it will distort that body line. We don't want that. So how we're going to remedy that is we're going to use this tool. Now this is a large slide hammer. It's actually made by Morgan Knocker, if you care to look that up, and it has different attachments. Okay, so what we're going to do is just gently pull that inner wheelhouse out to meet the quarter panel. Okay, you can see we're starting to slip there, so we're going to change attachments so we can get behind that and get a good grip. And then we're just going to gently work our way around it. Pull it too. We don't want to over pull it. I'm going to use too much force. And now you can see we really tighten that gap up. Now we're not going to get any distortion on that body line that's right underneath. And again, we're prepping with the media blast and a little spot blaster. Now this clamp is just to hold it so that the two pieces don't move as soon as I introduce the arc. And we want to get our plug wells one in each side before we start taking off welding. Yeah, everything is in the fit up and the prep. If you take the time to do those things correctly, it's going your way and everything should work out much, much better. That's where it's all won and lost. Guys will get in big hurries or try to cut corners and then make up with all of the bad work with body filler. And yeah, we like metal finishes, or as close to metal finishes as we can in this shop. Now, there's nothing wrong with using a little bit of body filler. That's not what I'm saying, if it's done correctly. The problem is usually it's not. So we're just going to go ahead and get all our plug wells installed. And you can see we're not distorting that quarter panel at all. It's okay to cinch down just a little bit, but not a lot. Okay, we're just going to make quick work of that because you really can't get any sanding things down in there. It has that lip kind of goes out. You can't really get anything in there. And we don't want to damage those edges. Here's what it looks like finished. And because it is bare steel and we have a long way to go on this car, we're just going to shoot just a little bit of primer filler on this. Just enough to keep it from rusting, nothing heavy. And to do that, I'm going to use this aerosol. This is my favorite brand. You can pick your own, but make sure that it is sandable. Don't just go get the cheapest primer and shoot it on there and then figure out, oh, hey, you got a problem later. Now, anything that's not covered in this video, I have another video of doing the passenger side that will cover everything between both videos on how to install the quarter pounds completely. Okay, we're getting that trunk gutter installed. And you want to take care installing this, especially without that back tail panel, of which position you're welding that in. You don't want to weld it with it cocked in the downward. Otherwise, when you install the rear tail panel, yeah, it's going to make for a weird angle and that's going to cause you problems. So I always want to try to think ahead of how that panel is going to be in its final position. And you see we have it all cinched down tight. Yeah, this one's a really tough area to get into. But with a little bit of patience, hey man, it'll turn out great. And because it is tight, we really want to be very focused on this grinding, not damage the lip or the quarter panel. Just knock it off just enough. Here's where the prep and all of the fit up comes into place. Since we have a nice plug weld, we don't have to do a lot of extra grinding. Less chance for damage. Okay, this side, it's not bad. We can still move it, the quarter panel or the deck lid over. But this side, yeah, we've got some problems. And that is in the quarter panel, and I've mentioned this in other videos. Every time I put a passenger side quarter panel on an Impala, all of the reproduction quarter panels have the same problem. They curve in at the back. So we're going to have to make our gap. Now this is how I'm doing it. Cutting it really close to the edge. We don't want to cut it out in the middle of that. That'll just make a lot of work for yourself. Okay, so I've already got it tacked. Now that's the previous work. We had to do a lot of work in that little radius too to get that right. Those are a really weak area. They're always tight right there. Okay, I've got it where I want it. So I'm just going to go ahead and start the welding process. Here's where you do not want to rush. Okay, so we're fast forwarding to, I've got it completely, the seam is completely welded. Yeah, it took a lot of time, but you can see there isn't a heat signature that's crept out into the quarter panel because we've taken our time. Why I'm telling you this is if you heat it up too much, you're just going to warp that whole top surface. Then you're going to need a bunch of filler. And it may be hard to tell from the video, but you don't see a lot of waves or anything like that in that top surface. We want to avoid that. Less body filler. And we're going to use a little bit of filler to finish out this edge, but this is how it looks metal finished. We're not going to have to use much. Hey, stay tuned for getting the back wrapped up. Thanks for watching.